So this one here is mostly going to be for the beginners out there. You guys probably have quickly realized that there are a lot of fragrance brands out there, big designer brands, and there are even more designer fragrances available to you. I mean, it can be very overwhelming to try to figure out what you should pick up from each of these big brands. And so today I took a look at just 10 of the big designer brands and I went through each one and I picked out, in my opinion, what I think currently right now is the best fragrance on the market from that brand. Now, I tried to disassociate my personal feelings from this as much as I could, and I tried to look at it from an objective standpoint, and I tried to take into consideration price, performance, uniqueness, quality, and all of that stuff when making my decisions here to try to land on the best one you can get currently. And like I said, I didn't cover all of the big brands. 10 slots is not enough. There are a lot of other big brands out there like Azzaro and Dolce & Gabbana, or just a couple that didn't even make it in this video. So do be warned, there's a lot that's going to be missing, but this is a nice little starting point. So I will provide links to these down below to discounters so you can get these at prices well below retail. And also I'm posting deals on my community tab all day, every day. If you want to have a chance at getting some rare, hard to find discontinued scents, that's the place you'll want to be. I'm also doing $500 giveaways over there every month as well. So if you want a chance to win some money, get subscribed. Let's start off with the brand of PRADA. Now currently, right now, in my opinion, on the market, the best scent you can get from them is PRADA L'Homme. That's just it. I mean, this one was probably one of the easier ones for me. Now, again, if I was taking a look at my personal favorites, PRADA Luna Rossa Black might have been put in the video instead. If I was able to feature discontinued fragrances, PRADA Luna Rossa Extreme definitely would have been the slot, but I can't do that. I'm just talking what I think dollar for dollar for the consumer the best product right now currently is, and that's PRADA L'Homme. I mean, this stuff is fantastic. Nice, soapy, clean, fresh iris scent that's great for any situation, any time of the year, for any age, really. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. As long as you like how this smells, it is going to work perfectly for you, and it's a really, really nice one with great quality that I think every guy should definitely check out. Next up, we have the designer brand of Hugo Boss. Now, this is another big one that could be a little bit tough, and there's some discontinued ones that I really would have liked to feature in here, and I wish they were still making those. But what you can get right now is the best one to me, Hugo Boss The Scent Absolute. Now, there's the Scent Intense, there is the Scent Private Accord, there's a few others, but those are getting tougher and tougher to find, and I just don't think that's really a fair choice right now. I'm talking about things you can get on the market with relative ease right now. And out of all of them, and I'm talking even the Boss bottled different flankers and that sort of thing and everything else, I think this is the best one. I really, really like this DNA in general. If you could pick up Boss The Scent Intense or Private Accord or anything, they're still going to be great. You can't go wrong. But this DNA in general really works well. I love my Hugo Boss Reversed. I love my Hugo Boss Bottled Oud. Great fragrances, but I think this one takes the cake all the way around when you factor in performance, uniqueness, versatility, and quality, mass appeal, all of that stuff. This just works really well. Okay, next up, the brand of Jean Paul Gaultier. Now, this is another one that could have been a personal favorite for me. That could have been put in here, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to try to stay just as objective as I could, and I think all around, this is currently the best pickup from the brand, and it's Le Male Parfum. So this does have cardamom in here. There's lavender, vanilla, a little bit of iris, and it smells great. A little bit of the Le Male DNA in here still, some ultra male sweetness, and then a unique cardamom spicy twist, which really sets this one off, and it makes it super unique and really sets itself apart from the original, which now could be considered and kind of labeled as just overdone and super generic. I think this is great. This is what a flanker is all about, and on the market currently, this is one of your best pickups in my opinion. Next up, we have the brand of VERSACE. This one was actually tough because when you look at what's currently in production right now, there's not a ton. I mean, there aren't a lot of Versace fragrances out there that are being produced on the men's side right now. It's something may not have thought about before. And there's flankers, of course, you know, but really, they don't have a ton going on. And that actually made it a little bit more challenging because they have a lot of hits confined within a small amount of fragrances. So it was a little bit tricky. Personally, I think when it comes to weighing performance, quality, price, and mass appeal, but also broad reach of what's going to work well with the most amount of people, I ended up landing on Dylan BLEU, believe it or not. You know, Eros Parfum is a favorite of mine. I love Versace Pour Homme, just the original. I love Man Eau Fresh, but it's less about me and more so about the broad general public. Versace Pour Homme and Eau Fresh don't perform the best. Eros performs great, but it's a little bit too loud and sweet for a lot of people, especially guys who are a little bit older, more mature. So I think this one kind of checks off most of the boxes here. You know, it is a blue scent, but it's a blue scent with a little bit more character than some others. It's got a little bit of patchouli and kind of an incense smokiness with some freshness and watery notes and a ton of ambroxan, of course, but it's really well done. It's actually a tasteful blue scent. I like it a lot. I wear it a lot. And when you can get this for about $45 and get a 10+ hour longevity scent, it's going to appeal to a lot of people. I think this is the clear winner. Next up, this one was also a little bit tricky. We have the brand of Ralph Lauren. Again, when you take a look at what they have in production, it's not a ton. There are really just a ton of Polo Blue fragrances, a ton of flankers there basically. And personally, I don't think really any of those would take the cake as being the best release. Now, I love Polo Blue Parfum. I think it's great. Deep Blue Parfum, also really good. But they don't really, I don't think, embody what the brand is fully capable of. And currently right now, a lot of their discontinued fragrances are really, really good. And some of the ones I would have chosen would have been some of their discontinued ones that are hard to get. So really what we're left with right now isn't all that great in terms of just the best overall. But if I had to choose one personally, I think it would be their newest release, Ralph's Club Parfum, believe it or not. Now, again, if I could feature some of their older ones, it would be like Polo Red Extreme, nice coffee scent. Polo Red Intense even is really good. I would go for some of their like Supreme, like Polo Supreme Leather, Supreme Oud, but all of those are discontinued. You just can't get them anymore. And so this is kind of the next best bet of combining performance and with some fair share of uniqueness as well over the Polo Blue DNA, which is definitely exhausted at this point. And personally, I think the Parfum version here that they put out is a big improvement over the EDP. If you didn't like the EDP, it was too boring. This one actually brings a bit more to the table. It does have the apple sage lavender thing going on, but with some vetiver. It's got a little bit more of a richness to it, more depth. And I think it's actually a really solid release. It's impressive. Next up, we have the brand of DIOR, Christian Dior. So this one also was a little bit tricky because they have a lot of hits as well. They have a lot of hits and a lot of fragrances, a ton of fragrances. So it was tough. At the end of the day, what is Dior known for? They're known for just kind of kicking off this iconic Iris movement, you know, and there's a few within the Iris line of fragrances that are really good. And ultimately, I still do think that this deserves the title of their best piece of work that you can get right now anyway, easily. It's Dior Homme Intense. So, you know, a lot of people will be like, yeah, what about Sauvage? It's a bestseller. Sauvage probably appeals to more people. You're right. Sauvage does appeal to more people. It is a bestseller. However, when you take a look at just what they've been capable of in the past and you take a look at the other blue fragrances on the market, I think Dior has a big advantage with their Iris line that they've cultivated here. And I think Dior Homme Intense could go down to be one of the best designer fragrance creations ever. Like even over some big Chanels and everything else. I mean, you take a look at just how far this one has gone and how much it really brings something new to the table. It's completely crazy. So again, I understand this one isn't as mass pleasing as Sauvage or some of the other fresher ones or whatever. But I think when you're talking about putting your money somewhere, you know, your hard-earned money, and you want to get the best possible product in return, I do think it's Dior Homme Intense. Next up, we have the designer brand or house of Givenchy. So they have a lot of great ones as well. And again, I can't put in any discontinued ones or anything like that. Givenchy Play and Play Intense would have really been in the running here if those were still being produced to this day. but they're not. So I have to take a look at what they're putting out. And really, they're most notable for the Gentleman and Gentlemen line. And personally, I think their newest piece of work is their best piece of work. It's Gentleman Reserve Privé Iris Whiskey Chestnut. This is it. This takes the cake. It is, without a doubt, their best fragrance currently, in my opinion, that you can buy. So it does have that iris going on, but it's a little bit more mass-pleasing than, say, the DIOR. It's got a booziness, a little bit of a gourmand, chocolatey chestnut sweetness. There's just so much going for this one that really isn't a terribly bad price either. The retail price for this is manageable, and once this gets consistently in stock on discounters, this might be one of the better pickups you can make on the designer side. Giorgio Armani is up next. Another one that was very hard because there are so many good ones, and these are the brands that I struggled with because you have the Code lineup, Code Absolute, Code Profumo, a couple of my favorites, Stronger With You, which is Emporio Armani, but still same thing, and Stronger With You Absolutely, Intensely, Oud, and of course Aqua de Jo. And ultimately, I think when it comes to taking your chunk of change and putting it into the best product that the brand has to offer, I think it's this. I think it's Aqua de Jo Profumo. You know, my reasoning behind it is the codes are going to be a little bit more situational for some people. I think they're not going to land with as many people as some of the others in the line, you know, like Code Absolute, Code Profumo. While I do think those are great, I just think ultimately when it comes to putting your money somewhere, I think it's going to be this Profumo. It's going to be the most versatile, one of the better performing ones out of the entire brand, actually. It's a PARFUM. It does great for being a freshie, a great mass appeal, and ultimately just one you got to have around. Next up, we have Yves Saint Laurent, another tricky one because they're known for L'Homme and La Nuit de L'Homme. La Nuit is one of my favorite designer fragrances ever. The problem with that is if you take a look, and anytime anyone talks about La Nuit de L'Homme, you're met with a bunch of negativity in return. It's like two forces being met together because someone may say that they like La Nuit de L'Homme, and someone will come in and say that it's completely ruined and it's trash, and oh, you didn't get to smell it when it first came out, it sucks now, go get something else. Like, people get upset about La Nuit de L'Homme, and to some extent they are right. It has changed over the years. It is different. It is a shell of what it used to be. I have old bottles to confirm it, and while I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be, it still is a shame. And so when it comes to putting your money somewhere, La Nuit de L'Homme, even on discounters, is still expensive. It's still going to be pushing, I don't know, $85, $90, $95, 100 mil. Not cheap, right? And you're not going to get great performance in return. That is one thing that is true with La Nuit de L'Homme. It doesn't perform that good. And so when it comes to putting your money somewhere and you want to get the most in return for said money, I think it's going to be YSL Eau de Parfum. Most of the L'Hommes and La Nuit de L'Hommes don't perform that great. A lot of them will be hit or miss, especially when you get into some of the other flankers where they go too sweet or too fresh and boring. I do think YEDP brings something different to the table in terms of a blue scent, being that it's fruitier and has a little bit more of a sweetness to it, but still balancing it out with some aromatics and freshness and lavender and kind of a clean linen smell. And so ultimately, if you want a beast mode fresh scent, this will be it. And when it comes to talking about one of the best from the brand currently, not talking discontinued stuff, I think it is this. Last but not least, the brand of Chanel, right? Couldn't forget about Chanel, had to put it in here. And also, you know, again, they have some amazing stuff. The original Allure Homme, amazing. Allure Homme Sport Extreme, even better. Platinum Egoiste, great, right? There's so many good ones. And then, of course, the Bleu de Chanel line, which started the blue fragrance trend. And ultimately, I think if you were to go and take a chunk of money, because Chanel, they're not cheap, really retail is the only way to go. If you're going to be putting yourself in the position to say, hey, I want to buy a Chanel, you might as well put in all the money that you have for that budget and get Bleu de Chanel Parfum. It is going to be one of the most expensive ones, probably. You know, it's going to be a little bit more than some of the Allure Hommes and definitely more than some of the other flankers of Bleu de Chanel. But I think it's your best bet. It's going to be the best performing Bleu de Chanel. It's going to be the most unique Bleu de Chanel, because they're adding in a little bit more depth and richness to this over the other flankers, which go much fresher. And anymore, I mean, this gives my Allure Homme Sport Extreme and Sport a run for its money in terms of performance. And also with those, similar deal, could be a little bit more hit or miss. I just think all around, if you're going to be investing your money, you might as well put it into something that is kind of an originator. And that goes back to with Dior, you know. Sauvage is great, I love it, but I just think that there are better options from Dior, like Intense. But when it comes to Chanel, this is kind of their bread and butter here. And while the others are great, it just doesn't get much better than this. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. The 10 best designer fragrances from the biggest designer brands on the market. Hopefully this helps you make a decision if you're going to purchase some of these as someone who's newer to collecting. You can't really go wrong with really most fragrances from all these brands. They're all really good. There's a reason why these brands are so big in terms of fragrances alone, just not even talking about their fashion and clothing, whatever. They put out great products, but these are a great place to start. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.